Okay, are we rolling? Yeah, the numbers is a-turning. I think we on. Now, once again, you're here with Big Al Nolram, the bombastic and bodacious mouth of the South from Beauregard, Alabama. Here to talk to you. Now, you notice I have my anything and everything hat. Remember we talked about the hats and which one was which. Well, it's the anything and everything hat, so that's what we're here to talk to you about today. Anything and everything. And today we're going to talk about some big changes. A big change. And you know, there was this little fella a year or so back that said he was going to make some big changes to this place, this country. Have you seen any big changes yet, other than things getting worse? Well, there you go. We got some big changes planned in the new Independence Party, too. That's the nippers. You can see about them if you go out there on the nipper track. I got 4 tracks out here, remember. Anything and everything. The information technology, the nippers, and the UGMMHL. So you go out there and check out those tracks if you want to, or you can stay right here. Okay, anyway. I heard on the news the other day about the China leader and what we'd done to him about messing up and not inviting him to our little party and everything. And I just say, in the new Independence Party, the way we handle things, we make a mistake, we admit it, and then we apologize dearly and sincerely for it, and then we do our best to make it up, and then we move on. That's how we do it. And I heard a lot of folks saying a lot of things about, posturing and potentating and all this kind of stuff, just the uppity in the air kind of things about the United States. And I always heard this thing that a big man could apologize. The biggest man is the one that apologized first when they knew it was wrong. And we was wrong, and so if we're the big man of the thing, then we want to apologize first. And here's what I suggest we do. We apologize dearly and sincerely to the man, and we invite him, the new Independence Party, once we get Sarah Palin and Herman Cain elected to the White House there, then we invite him to our little hoedown. Now we ain't going to have one of them hoity-toity parties with the nose in the air, dripping in jewels and diamonds, all that kind of crap. No, this is going to be a good old-fashioned hoedown, Because I don't know if you knew this or not, because that's the humble way to do it, the good Lord, he said if you want to be the top, you got to start at the bottom, and that's why he washed the feet to all them disciples. Now, if you want to hear about that, you go out there on that UGMMHL track and you see about that. I don't chew my cabbage twice, and so you go out there if you want to hear that. But I was just saying that, you see, me and a few square dancers got together a few years back, and we got a bill passed to make Western-style square dancing the national folk dance of the United States. If I'm lying, I'm dying. You go out there and check me out on it. You see if it didn't happen. And the national the national dance, folk dance of the United States is Western-style square dancing. And there's a big community of that. I mean, it's getting smaller all the time because the young folks, they're out in this mob dance and all that kind of stuff, and rap and all that kind of crap. But anyway, we do Western-style square dancing, and then you have round dancing. That's like ballroom dancing in a circle so you don't run into each other. And you got somebody cueing you to tell you how to move so you don't have to try to make up your own moves and stuff like that. It's just that kind of way. Same way with square dancing. You got a caller that tells you what to do, when to do it, all that kind of stuff. It's a good structured form of dancing, and you don't have to learn a whole lot to get it done. Okay, and the other thing is clog dancing. You ever heard of clog dancing? It's kind of like that river dance kind of stuff, except we don't do it at attention. We flap our arms and our legs and everything when we clog dance. You just see if we don't. But anyway, you got those different dance styles and stuff, and I think that if we decked out that China leader with a big old Stetson hat and some cowboy boots and a leather vest and Western style shirt and pants and everything, I think he'd appreciate it. I really do. And he might come to our little hoedown, and we could throw it in his honor and everything, and that would make things better because China's holding most of our debts. They're trying to buy up our land, almost everything you find. Don't you notice that some things they used to have made in China, made in little tiny letters on the back of them, and now they got big old letters right on the front? See, they're proud of what they do over there. They're proud of the fact that we buy up everything they got. So you think about that, people. We need to keep friendship over there with that leader of China and that. And so you should consider that. Anyway, let's move on here. And another thing, another kind of change we was going to make. You see, it's that cabinet, that president's cabinet. They call them secretaries. Now I agree that back in the days that the Constitution was written, a secretary meant a man. There weren't no women secretaries then. It was a man who could read, write, and cipher. And they wanted you to know that the people that was advising the President of the United States could read, write, and cipher, that they were intelligent people. And so they called them secretaries. But these days, even female secretaries don't want to be called secretaries. They want to be called administrative assistants or executive assistants or something like that, you know. So they don't even want to be called secretaries. And I'll tell you this right now, every time I think of the word secretary, I think of this gal in a miniskirt being chased around the desk by her boss. And let me tell you this, people. We want Colin Powell to be the Secretary of Defense. Now, this is the thought I don't need in my head of Colin Powell in a miniskirt being chased around the Oval Office desk by Sarah Palin. That's just not a thought I need in my head. And so if you could help us out there, what we'd like to do is rebrand those. Rebrand those secretaries and see, they're in the executive branch of the government, and they direct their departments, you know, Department of Labor, Department of Treasury, Department of State, all those things. They direct them, and so why don't we just call them executive directors instead of secretaries? That would help get that thought of let's see, who else... oh yeah, we was wanting Warren Buffett for Treasury, Department of Treasury, and I just don't want to imagine Warren Buffett in a miniskirt being chased around the Oval Office desk by Sarah Palin. If you could please help me get that out of my head by changing up that title from Secretary to Executive Director. If you do that for me, it would help out. It would sure help out. Okay, moving on. We got a few constitutional amendments we'd like to propose because you see. They're not everything. All this stuff in the Constitution says you should treat things equal. You know, all that kind of stuff. And are the three branches of government: legislative, executive, legislative, and judicial? Are they treated the same? No, they ain't. They ain't treated the same at all. Have you ever noticed on some of them ballots that you do elect some judges, but other judges are appointed? I don't understand why we got the two differences there. And so here's what we... now, I had heard some of the folks out there, them Republicans, Democrats, or whatever, they was talking about, you know, those little squabbling brats. They was deciding that they might need term limits and all that. Well, I just think we ought to go whole hog. Well, you see, we like to deal in threes in the New Independence Party. That reminds us of the Trinity that's backing us up. You know, God the Father, God the Son, and God the Father, the significant other. Well, anyway, they're backing us up in this little move, and so we want to get this out there. So we like three things. We would like a constitutional amendment to make all three branches of government the same. Now, the executive branch is the leadership, right? They lead the way. Well, don't we elect them? We elect them, don't we? Yeah, we do. And we put term limits on them, that they could only serve 2 consecutive terms, then they got to take a little vacation, sabbatical, whatever, before they can come back for another term. Okay, that makes sense, doesn't it? Doesn't that make sense to you? Okay, and then we got an impeachment process. If we get a bad one in there, we know how to get rid of them, don't we? We have a way to get rid of them. Well, why can't we just do that with all three branches? We have an election process, a term limits, an impeachment process for executive, legislative, and judicial. Doesn't that make sense to you? Makes sense to the New Independence Party. You think about it, folks, but don't think too long. Those 2012 elections are just around the corner, and we need to try to get Sarah Palin and Herman Cain elected to the White House, so see what we can do. Now, if you heard anything of benefit here today, anything of value to you, you could help us out a little bit by sending $1 or $2, whatever change in your pocket, to A.L. Nolram, that's Big Al Nolram, and the New Independence Party, the Nippers, at P.O. Box 2149, Tuskegee, Alabama 36083. Now, I do have to tell you that I got a little fixing up to do there, because I got a call from the post office the other day. This tells you how our government works. Got a call from the post office the other day. I had paid for this post office box about a month ago, and I thought it was mine, and they called up the other day and said something about, well, I had that box once in the past, and I still owed, and they lost the paperwork on me canceling the box, and so I owed $15 late fee on it, and the system wouldn't take it and let me. If I wanted a different box, then I could get a different box. But if I wanted that same box, I'd have to pay the $15. Otherwise, they won't be able to get that thing. Because I was wondering why there was dust bunnies in there, and nobody, you know, was putting any mail in it or sending me anything. And I figured I'm putting a message out there that's worthwhile, and why ain't there getting some money in there? And that's why, is because they said, well, it's not really yours yet. You need to come down, and we lost the form, so you need to come down, fill out another form, and pay us $15, and then we'll get it squared away. So I'm going to do that. And the reason I figure they called me is because they probably got a little mail piling up, and they don't know what to do with it, because they says it's supposed to go to this box, but it doesn't really belong to anybody. And so you see what I'm saying. So I'm going to go down and get that fixed up next week. The little lady was down there, works in the post office. She was out for a couple of days, but she'll be back day after the Christmas holiday. So on Tuesday next week, I'll get out there and get it took care of. So, but you go ahead and send it on in. They'll hold it up, and they'll put it in there once we get everything figured out. Alrighty, thank you much. Now everybody, bye-bye for now. Y'all take care of each other out there. Don't be doing too much fussing and feuding. Be kind to each other. And above it all, God bless America. Thank you. Bye-bye.